Day. Before we get started, though, our invocation today will be offered by Father Adam Ahern, the pastor at St. Augustine and Sacred Heart Catholic Churches.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today to honor these inductees whose dedication, integrity, and excellence have inspired the New Albany High School community. Bless this Hall of Fame celebration. May it remind us that true greatness is not only measured by achievement, but by the character, service, and love we show to others. We ask your blessing upon the inductees, past and present, that their example continue to guide future generations. Grant hearts of gratitude for the gifts you have given and the people who have shared them so generously. We ask this in the name of Jesus our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
And I know it's a big day for a lot of you, so if you didn't make it to church this morning, I think that counts. Father, does that count? Ish. Okay, please rise and join for the singing of the school song. The words are in your program. Ceremony. Our first inductee tonight into the class of 2025 in the Hall of Fame is Michael Crabtree from the class of 1970. After an active high school career and playing on the initial basketball and tennis teams at IUS, Mike embarked on a career in education as a teacher, a coach, an athletic director, and principal at Silver Creek High School. He enjoyed playing tennis as well as guiding boys and girls in both school and camp settings. During his 26 years as principal, Silver Creek saw outstanding growth and achievement in all aspects of school life. Mike Crabtree.
Susan over there says she's got a hook, and I need to practice the 3 B's of public speaking I learned at New Albany. Be brief, be bright, be gone. That didn't count in my time. Be funny. Okay. Good afternoon and congratulations to the other New Albany inductees here today. My New Albany journey began by pure fate as my father, Charlie, suddenly passed away, and my mother, Virginia, brother Bobby, and I moved out of the west end of Louisville to this side of the river to live in New Albany. I was 14 years old. Our whole life changed. We didn't have much. We didn't know anyone. New Albany schools were much more challenging than I was accustomed to. Thankfully, my sister, Lucy Lewis, already lived here and attended school at New Albany. She and her mother, Peggy, majorly helped guide me through the rigors of this scary new environment. In our sophomore year, Lucy Ann introduced me to her friend, Janice Abel, a star New Albany swimmer who became my high school sweetheart and bride of 52 years. Lucianne is here today with her daughter, my niece Carrie Phillips, both New Albany graduates. My wife Janice is here along with my grandson Michael and Allie Jones. My brother-in-law Bob Abel, also a New Albany grad and swimming star, and sister-in-law Debbie Abel are both here. My son Kevin and daughter-in-law Carrie are working out of the country and couldn't attend today, but thank you all for coming. I began school here at Hazelwood Junior High School at the time. My PE teacher, Skip Elmers, some of you remember Skip? Yeah. He took me under his wing and made me a starting guard on his freshman basketball team. He was very kind to me, but Coach Elmers was a big stickler for the fundamentals. I ran a lot of stairs in practice as punishment for using the wrong hand on layups on the left side. And he also, as some of you might remember, he yelled at me a little bit. Well, actually a lot during the games. I made a lot of mistakes. And that's not a bad thing. At New Albany High School, I ran cross country for Don Rockmiller. Played basketball for Louis Jensen and Jim Morris, and baseball for Stan Psycho. All legends in their own right. I became connected here through sports and continued that connection through college and beyond. All these people were very important in my formative years. Because of the social studies department here at New Albany, I later became a social studies teacher and taught government and economics and the like. I identified with great teachers, Bob Douche and Damon Sims and Bob Goffinet and others. I was a member of the Junior Classical League under my beloved Latin teacher, Alice Rank. Alice and I kept in touch until her passing only a few years ago. I did my student teaching here in 1973 under Forrest McCaffrey, with whom I developed a continuing relationship. The school secretary at that time was Betty Peden. She taught me the high technology of ditto construction, design, and printing. That was a darn beautiful thing. Under another New Albany High School Hall of Fame member, Dr. John Moody, became my esteemed college mentor. He said he saw me as a potential change agent in education. His friendship and encouragement throughout my professional career will not be forgotten. A famous New Albany graduate, a national sportscaster, Joe Dean, when he was here at high school here, was a featured speaker at a coaching clinic I once attended. Joe commented something to the effect, look, a lot of you young coaches out there are seeking coaching positions that carry much higher prestige. Wherever you are now, your student athletes desperately need you. Consider taking advantage of your current opportunity to make an extraordinary difference in your students' lives and for your program. I always took that message in my youth, that lofty, sincere message to heart. Sadly, many of the cherished folks I mentioned have since passed away. They set high standards, not just for me, but for the countless others, including generations of fine educators at this historic institution. I'm very grateful for that. A big thank you to Susan Adams and Bob Douche for your hard work organizing and making this outstanding event continuing and possible. And wonderful job you do. I am truly honored and humbled to be here today with you. I could never give back enough to match the many blessings bestowed upon me by this school. Thank you, and God bless New Albany High School, and here's to her success.
devotion to the whole child, to your own love of tennis as a player and coach, and for your numerous contributions to the community. We induct you into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Congratulations. Our next inductee from the class of 1967, Dan Cristiani. Beginning in high school as a thriving entrepreneur, Dan started an excavating company and then several other businesses as he saw their needs arise. All the while his farming life expanded and his desire to help his community manifested through church, through 4-H leadership, and by assisting the establishment of a much-needed class at Prosser Center. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Cristiani.
I just wanted to say thank you to New Albany High School for what they've done for me and my family. And when I was in high school, I was really kind of quiet and bashful and backwards, and through our ag class, and we had FFA, and it kind of opened me up and got me talking to people and knowing what people would like and seeing a person. And one thing that I try to keep in my life is my values. And the values is God, my family, and my work. And I've always tried to keep these values going throughout my life, trying to do the right thing. You know, it's awful easy to get on the sideline and go the wrong direction sometimes in this workforce. And you know, I always thought that the best thing to do is that treat my people like they're my family. So I try to work with them side by side and try to do the right thing and try to teach them to do the right thing, because our reputation is on the line. And that was the name of my company when I got started. And you know, it's been a tough road. I can remember days that I would go to I'd be walking down to the house and actually crying because I didn't have enough money to make payroll. And I said, how am I going to face these people tomorrow? Tell them I ain't got enough money to pay them. But, you know, through the inspiration of God, the next morning, a guy came and paid his bill, and I had enough money to pay everybody. So, you know, just living right is the main thing. And so, you know, I've tried to install that in my kids, and I have 5 children. And I got a lovely wife, and she keeps me on a straight road. And you know, she's got a hard job to do because I've kind of got my own line, but she kind of keeps me in the right direction. And I have 5 lovely children and grandkids. I got 15 grandkids, and I enjoy my grandkids so much. And it's unbelievable how things just kind of happen throughout the years. And I remember back in ag class, Jim Ward was a great teacher, and he helped me in ag class and get me started in my business. And I used to drive my dump truck to school, and I'd bring a load of firewood in with me. I used to sell firewood $15 a dump truck load back then, and then I'd pick up gravel and haul the way back. And you got to haul both ways, you know, you got to make some money. So anyway, I used to drive my dump truck, and they used to call me farmer here, that's fine with me, because still today I still farm. And since I retired, I only go to work now at 6 o'clock every morning, and so I'm there every morning at 6 o'clock. And then if they need me, I help them. If they don't need me, I go on the farm, and we farm about 2,500 acres now. So I kind of stepped up the farming operation a little bit. And my wife says, you're getting older, you need to slow down. And I don't know what the word slow down means, because I gotta keep going. And that's what I want to do. I want to keep going. I love what I do. And when you love what you do good. And that's the thing about all of this. I love the New Albany High School. they taught me so much, and they opened me up so much, and I learned how to really love people. And you know, that's the whole thing, is loving people. Because when you love people, things come to you naturally. It just happens. So I just want to say thank you, New Albany High School. Thank you for all alumni, and thank you for everything you have done for me in my life and my family. Thank you.
For your lifelong achievements in the business world and your strong devotion to young people and their needs, as well as your ability to serve where you see opportunities, we induct you into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Our next inductee, Josh Dallas, from the class of 1997, just a kid. The award-winning performing arts program of NAHS were the springboards that propelled Josh into the life of theater, films, and television that he continues to enjoy immensely. Known as both Prince Charming and Frantic Pig, Josh is also pursuing some projects which take him behind the camera in the coming months. Since he must embark on a world press tour on Tuesday, Josh regretted that he could not be here today. Speaking on his behalf is his stepfather, Ron Zellner.
I'll start by saying I wish I could speak as well as all these other people. But we're going to try and do Josh's notes he gave me to present some justice. He is heartbroken that he couldn't make it. As I mentioned, the whole family is getting ready to do an international promotion for the Zootopia 2 movie, and they've been pretty busy. So, Josh's words, I'm sorry I can't be here this afternoon, but my parents, Ron and Dee Dee, my Aunt Pam, which here with us, and friends Richard and Whitney, who are also here, which is great. He goes, because they are much better at mingling than I am, which is so far from the truth if anybody knows Josh. But seriously, thank you. This is an incredible honor and honestly a little surreal. I grew up here in New Albany, Indiana, and I never could have imagined that one day I would be inducted into the Hall of Fame at New Albany High School. I owe so much of who I am and what I get to do now as a professional actor to this place and to the people who filled it with life. Because here's the thing, I was lucky enough to grow up in a public school system that valued the arts. Not just tolerated them, not just treated them like an afterthought, but actually put real heart and soul into them. And that changed everything. I had teachers who saw more in me than I saw in myself. People like David Longest, my theater director, Linda Rungs, my choir director, and Miss Betty Weber-Flock. They challenged us to be better and then reminded us that we actually could be better. And that kind of belief, it sticks with you. Of course, now that I'm an adult, I also understand some things I didn't back then, like why David Longest always had a bottle of Pepto-Bismol at his desk. He would take swigs multiple times a day. It was his emotional support beverage, a price of dealing with high school theater students. But here's what made him great and what made them all great. They carried the drive, the passion, the ambition, not for themselves, but for us. They created a program where kids like me could take risks, find our voices, and learn how to fall on our faces and still get up and try again. And it worked. I thrived here because the arts thrived here. That's not something every kid gets, and I don't take it for granted. A thriving arts program in public school is rare, but here it is real. And because of it, I've learned not just how to perform, but how to connect, how to listen, how to empathize. The arts teach you resilience. It also teaches you heartbreak, lots and lots of heartbreak. And yet, in this business, the heartbreak comes with something beautiful, a chance to fall in love again and again, whether it's with a role, a story, or a group of people you get to create with. That is a gift I trace all the way back to this school. So this afternoon, I just want to say thank you to New Albany High School, to the teachers who believed in me, to this community that raised me. I am forever grateful for what this place gave me, and I will do my best to keep making you proud. Thank you.
For chasing his dreams and excelling in his craft in the performing arts, as well as continuing to advance in the art forms of the future, we induct Josh Dallas into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Congratulations. Our next inductee from the class of 1914, C. Prowl Ernie. Though he studied geology, served in the Navy in World War I, and refurbished a historic hotel, Prowl was destined to be a public servant as a state representative and senator, and as mayor of New Albany during an amazing period of growth for the city. Many of the achievements of his 16 years were groundwork for the New Albany that we know today. Now, speaking on his behalf is his great-great-nephew, Adam Burkhart.
Hi. It's going to be tough to keep it brief talking about someone who's done as much as our Uncle Prawl, and that's what we call him. He was born in 1895 and passed away in 1985, so I was only alive for a few months of his lifetime, so I only know him through stories and pictures. Just about any picture that he's in, he's the biggest guy in the picture. And he was kind of a larger-than-life guy. My family members who knew him told me that he was always in a flashy car with white wall tires to match his big white Stetson hat. And a lot of the stories that I would hear about him remind me of that opening scene in The Great Gatsby where everybody's at Gatsby's party and all the rumors are flying about him. Oh, he went to Oxford University. He's a spy. He's Kaiser Wilhelm's cousin. Well, the stories about Uncle Prawl were he was a combat pilot in the war. He was a Texas oil man. Well, my uncle told me that he was a college football player. And so he was a naval aircraft pilot in the war, and he was a football player here at New Albany High School. He came from a family that really valued education, and we still do. My brother's a teacher, my mom's a retired teacher. Uncle Prawl's dad was a doctor, and I believe one of his aunts was a teacher here in the community. They could have sent him to school anywhere. They sent him to New Albany High School, and I'm sure he would have said that he got a very fine education here. So thank you to New Albany for that. And he went on to study geology both at IU and U of L, where he played football, being a lineman. And with his degree, he got into surveying, got into the oil and gas industry, also owned for a period of time the New Albany Inn, which is now the restaurant Brooklyn and the Butcher. Served several terms as a state senator and representative, then 4 terms as a mayor. More terms, I understand, than any mayor other than the current mayor, Gahan. And he did run for re-election for a 5th term. When he lost, a reporter asked him, why do you think that you lost? And he said, well, I guess I just ran too many times. And so, as I mentioned, I never got to meet him, or if I did, it was only very, very briefly as a newborn. And little kids, my son's here today, he wants to be an astronaut. A lot of little kids want to be things like that. Well, I wanted to be the mayor of New Albany. And that kind of tells you the impact that Uncle Prawl had on us. He was married twice, but was never fortunate enough to have any children of his own. And so he just kind of paid it forward to his nieces and nephews in a way that our family still feels. So we've always thought of Uncle Prawl. And in fact, there's a couple of fellas here with Prawl in their names. And he meant a lot to us, and we really appreciate you all thinking of him and honoring him. So thank you.
Also, I'd like to know there are astronauts in the Hall of Fame, too. For his devotion to New Albany as mayor for 16 years and his generosity involving many parts of the community, we induct C. Prawl Ernie into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Congratulations. next inductee from the class of 1967, Joseph Hale. Joe enjoyed a wide variety of activities in high school, setting the stage for a lifetime of pursuits which have taken him around the world. The list is long with the scope of areas he has touched, including education, utilities, energy, the arts, and the world of sports. Visioning and fundraising are high in the life of service, adventure, and generosity he continues to lead. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Hale.
To the 7 of you who have already asked, I'm Jerry's brother. He's not here today. He played basketball for Floyd Central. It is a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for that nice introduction, Kent. And Susan, thank you for shepherding me through all of this. I really appreciate that. It's hard to believe it was 55 years ago that I was in an adjacent classroom to Susan, 21 years old, facing a classroom full of 17 and 18-year-olds in my home room. It was kind of a challenge, but we got through that. I also want to thank Marcia Brooks Hubbock, a dear friend, for nominating me for this award. I appreciate it. I also wanted to thank the selection committee for really overlooking the many high school activities that really would have disqualified me for this if they only would have known about that. But it's a pleasure to be here today, and I appreciate it very much. You know, one thing you may not know about me is that I actually began life as a charity case myself. Some of you know that when my mother was 9 months pregnant with me, she woke up one day with a headache. 12 hours later, she was in the hospital, paralyzed from the neck down, in an iron lung, having been diagnosed with polio. So she eventually regained use of her upper body and spent the rest of her life in a wheelchair. And Dad was a mailman, so we were comfortable, but there weren't a lot of extras. And a local wealthy man read about our predicament in the paper, and he paid to send my mother to Warm Springs, Georgia, where President Roosevelt had a center down there that taught people with polio how to live independently in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. So as a result of that, one of my earliest memories is really pushing my mother's wheelchair down Scheller Lane here in New Albany, Indiana, collecting dimes for the March of Dimes. And I think that sense of giving back was instilled in me at a very early age. You know, New Albany certainly gave me my start, not just in education, but certainly in life. It has really taught me resilience, it's taught me humility, and I thank Elmer Lewis for just smashing me in the student council vice president election that year, but it did teach me humility. And as I've also mentioned, I really learned the value of helping others. I feel that doing just one small act of kindness a day can really make such a huge difference in someone else's life. I mean, personally, I can't tell you how much I appreciated it when somebody would simply open the door when I was trying to push Mom's wheelchair through a door someplace to get through that. Now, I didn't stay here after graduation. My path led me to new towns, new countries, new experiences, and plenty of challenges along the way. And I'll be honest, I think there were times when, you know, life kind of tested me a little bit. I was involved with one company that was just that close to disaster, but you kind of stuck with those things and you got through them. There were times when the road was steep, when plans fell apart, and, you know, times when you had to dig deep just to keep going. But through it all, I really carried the spirit that I learned here, right here in New Albany. Work hard, stay grounded, and give back whenever you can. Over the years, I've certainly tried to live those values, to serve those communities in which we've lived and support those people who really needed a hand and really make a difference in wherever life took us. But because at the end of the day, I've always felt that success isn't measured by the titles you have or the awards you receive. It's really measured by the people that you lived up along the way. This journey wouldn't have been possible without the support of my family, my wife Linda. You talk about welcome to the rock. She's the rock for me through every season, the highs and the lows and everything in between. Her love, her moral compass, her patience, and her steady faith have carried me further than I ever could have gone alone. To our children, Britton, Grant, and Catherine, you're our greatest accomplishments and our proudest joy, certainly, watching each of you to grow into the remarkable people that you are today. It's been nothing short of wonderful. And then to our 6 wonderful grandchildren, Ryder, Samantha, Margie, Hunter, Nellie, and Natalie, our daughter-in-law Amy, our son-in-law Greg. All of you guys remind me every day why it's so important to give back, to try and make this world just a little bit better than you found it. You guys are the future, and you make everything I do worth it. And I want to thank Grant and Linda and Amy and Margie and Ryder and Nellie for being here today. And also thanks to my recently returned cousin, Suzanne Oakes, to New Albany. She just moved back recently. Susie's always been like a sister to me, so I'm so glad she's here today. I may not have stayed in this community, but believe me, this community has stayed in me. The lessons, the grounding, the friendships I found here have guided me in every step of life's journey. Today's honor isn't just about what I've done, it's about where I came from, who believed in me then, and the values this place instilled in me. I am so grateful to be back here. I'm so grateful to see those values continue on in my own children. Case in point, yesterday, Grant and Amy and their kids came upon a family desperately in need. It was spontaneous. They just stepped in and they solved the problem for that family. Things like that make you feel prouder than anything else in life. So I just want to say that I'm grateful to be back here, to be reminded that no matter where life leads you, the roots planted here continue to grow and bear fruit in ways I never expected. I want to thank you very much for welcoming me home, for this incredible honor, and reminding me once again that service, gratitude, and perseverance are the true hallmarks of success. Thank you very much.
Your granddaughter was pretty excited about you saying her name. By the way, who beat you in the vice presidential election?
Elmer Lewis.
Elmer, is he in the Hall of Fame?
I'm going to go check.
Apparently not.
He should be. He should be.
Case closed. All right, for your enthusiasm, care for detail, and expertise in a variety of pursuits, and your generous spirit to continue to advance the causes that you hold dear, we induct you into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Our next inductee, another youngin, from the class of 1993, Lisa Tylicki Hansen, teacher, has defined Lisa her whole life. She enjoyed a busy and fulfilling life at NAHS, which continued with activities and honors at Purdue. Following a master's at the University of Kentucky, her career has centered in Scott County, Kentucky, with a passion for elementary students, which led to her being named the Kentucky Teacher of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Tylicki Hansen.
I would like to thank the selection committee for this tremendous honor. I actually received the announcement email on the very day of my 50th birthday, June 7th, so I'm not really that much of a youngin'. As soon as I received it, I had a feeling I knew who had something to do with this honor. So thank you to my friend, in 1993, classmate John Cosper, for thinking I was worthy of such an honor. He wished he could have been here today, but he had to catch a flight for a work trip. I would also like to thank my family who is present here today. My dad, Bob Tylicki, my brother and 1990 NAHS graduate, Robert Tylicki, my daughter, Alaire Hansen, and my dad's second cousin, Brenda Arrett. Plus, I have 3 special friends here today, my boyfriend, Sean Luttrell, and my friends, Jamie Burns and Kelly Moses. My son, John Hansen, who is studying at the University of Tennessee, was unable to come today, but he is excited to see the recording of this event. And of course, my mom, Lois Tylicki. She passed away in February 2019, but her spirit is here today. And I know she's smiling down on me on this very exciting moment. I was once asked on an educational podcast, who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to me? My first one was my dad. My dad has always been my biggest supporter. We're very much alike. The second was my 4th grade student teaching supervisor, Rosemary Brown, who I did my student teaching under in Frankfort, Indiana. She's just extremely dynamic, tough on the kids, had that kind of like sarcastic humor. Her personality is who I feel I very much modeled my own teaching after. The third was a kind of a cheated a little bit, and it was a combination of all my teachers in the past. I remember bits and pieces from most teachers I've ever had. Maybe it's what they taught, or how they taught, or maybe it was some words of wisdom that they shared with me. This past summer, I saw a magician at a professional development session who shared how much teachers had influenced them. He reminded me that as students, we often don't get to say thank you to our teachers. So this is my chance. So Mr. Douche, since it's so wonderful to have you in the same room again, thank you for telling me that I should be in TV government. You said you needed someone who is classy. I'm sorry I never took you up on that offer, Mr. Douche, but hopefully I have shown my classiness in my future years. To my fellow inductee, Mr. Viger, thank you for helping me to understand the genetic biology matrix, or whatever they call it. You know, when you take a blue-eyed person and you cross it with a brown-eyed person. I won't tell you how well I did with that at Hazelwood with Mr. Hoffmeister, but thank you so much. And by the way, I have yet to use that skill in real life, but thank you. I also saw my daughter does cheerleading, but my pom-pom coach, Cynthia Hines, fellow inductee from last year, and she, you know, many days and nights with Cynthia in Bulldogs for 3 years. So Cynthia, thank you so much for your compassion and patience. I looked through the list of Hall of Fame inductees and realized I've had the honor of knowing about 24 of them. As teachers, coaches, classmates, neighbors, and friends. To them and to everyone who guides me along the way, thank you. Your care and talent helped shape the teacher I am today. During my high school years, I was a very quiet kid and wasn't part of the popular crowd. I was one who hung with some popular kids, but I was also friends with the quieter ones. Being a member of the New Albany Bulldogs might have helped my popularity, but I was grounded in striving to be a good student in school and not let the social aspect get in the way of that. Many of my classmates and current colleagues will always express to me that I am smart. And I tell them and my own classroom students today, I'm not smart. I just know how to be a good student. In college, I hit a point where teaching didn't excite me like it used to. And that was scary, since it had been my dream since 4th grade, thanks to Miss Cheryl Morrissey at Mount Tabor. But after hearing a school administrator speak on a video in class, I realized studying education didn't mean I had to teach forever. There are other avenues in this field. That moment renewed my purpose and kept me moving forward. I did well in college. I went and did leadership positions. I was very fortunate to serve as the president of the Purdue Residence Hall Council. Me, a president of nearly 11,000 students on campus. This is not something quiet student Lisa would have ever imagined. I am thankful that being in college pushed me out of my shell and helped me grow from a quiet student into someone more confident and outgoing. After subbing in the New Albany-Floyd County schools for 2 years after I graduated from Purdue, I started looking elsewhere. In 1999, one of my parents saw an ad in the Louisville paper for a technology teacher position in Frankfort, Kentucky. I had a computer endorsement from Purdue, so I thought I would try for it. Luckily, I received the job right away. My mom, on the other hand, did not want me to go. I finally said to her, Mom, sometimes in life, you have to take risks. So within 2 weeks, I found an apartment, started my trainings, moved, and started teaching. It was a whirlwind, but I'm thankful that the small step I took led me to the teacher who I am now. After teaching middle school for 2 years, I was itching to get back to the elementary level. I was fortunate to find a teaching position at Garth Elementary in Georgetown, Kentucky, serving as a technology teacher. I later went into a classroom teaching position. During my time at Garth, I served on several committees, helped with academic team, and assisted with the music program. You name it, I probably did it. After teaching there for 19 years, I wanted to do more with my career. I told a colleague in July 2020 that I wanted to start getting involved at the state level. From that point forward, my career escalated quickly. That same year, a classmate's mom I'd known since childhood passed away. In her obituary, she had a life mission statement, and it really moved me deeply. I realized that I needed some sense of purpose. I realized what my life mission is and what it truly has been my whole life, and that is embrace life's opportunities. I knew that if I wanted to advance myself, then I was going to have to embrace opportunities given to me and surround myself with a strong circle of individuals. I immediately got involved as the public relations chairperson with the Kentucky National Board Teachers Network. I also became a Go Teach Kentucky ambassador for the state of Kentucky. Being able to meet people around the state and sharing ideas was a new avenue that was exciting to me, away from the typical school committees. In 2022, I received the shock of a lifetime. After being nominated by my school district and submitting my application to the state, I was selected as the 2022 Kentucky Education Association Teacher of the Year. This was life-changing. I was on the news. Fox Station did a whole piece on me. My name was even placed in my town's museum. I was also fortunate to go to Washington, D.C. and receive the 2023 California Casualty Teaching of Excellence Award. To stand on stage and speak in front of 700 people at a black tie event was truly like the Academy Awards for teachers. Events like this just don't happen, and teachers aren't celebrated enough. I thought to myself, every teacher deserves a moment like this. Teaching is rewarding, but the daily challenges and tough decisions would make most people want to quit. I continued to follow my mission statement of embrace life's opportunities. A fun escape from teaching is that I am now a pro wrestling ring announcer. I've loved emceeing at school events for several years now, and watching WWE with my son inspired me to try something new. It's unconventional. Shy, quiet Lisa from my younger years would probably never have imagined this, but it's been thrilling. I have a few more years of teaching before retirement, and I hope to continue growing in this role, doing more shows and embracing every opportunity that comes my way. And what else is on the horizon? Not sure yet, but I know that I will continue to embrace life's opportunities in my future years. Thank you for honoring me with this prestigious recognition. I'm truly blessed to be part of New Albany High School's history. This school, its students, and this community have given me far more than I could ever give back. As the first inductee of the class of 1993, I share this honor with my classmates and every educator who makes a difference each day. Thank you.
For your achievements thus far and your passion for young student growth, as well as your desire to always embrace life's opportunities and your time as a pro wrestling ring announcer, we induct you into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Congratulations. Our next inductee worked here from 1927 to 1948 as principal, C.C. Catterjohn. This was a new school building. He was a young, somewhat experienced and highly praised principal coming to New Albany as a widower with a young son and a creative drive. Programs, activities, and even the physical plant grew during his 21 years. His leadership skills and care for people endeared him to those that he touched, which continued to future generations. Speaking for Mr. Catterjohn, or Bop, is one of his two grandsons present today, Chris Catterjohn. quick drink of water. They'll be right with us.
Hello, everybody. So glad you could make it this afternoon. My name is Chris Catterjohn, and I'm here with my wife Donna, and my brother John, and my sister-in-law Carol. And we're really happy to be here to accept this honor on behalf of our grandfather. I have to say, this is not something that was on my radar. It had been a while since I had thought of him, aside from an occasional memory flash. And then out of the blue, in May of 2024, I was contacted by two women who wanted to talk to me about my grandfather, Cecil Cornelius Catterjohn, better known in my family as Bob, my dad's dad, and my brother and my grandfather. So these two ladies are here with us today, Susan Brees and Carol Hart, who attended Mount Tabor School in the early 1950s when C.C. Key was principal. And I've come to find out that he made a huge impression on them. Carol told me that it was love at first sight when they first met Mr. K. And Susan said C.C.K. offered two precocious brats, meaning herself and her friend Carol, support, nurture, opportunities, and encouragement, a ginormous molder of the people we became. And I'm just curious if there's anyone else in the crowd out here today that had any personal interaction or memory with my grandfather besides these two ladies. Joe? Oh my goodness. Well, there's a few people out there, that's great. Susan and I did a ton of research to flesh out the nomination for my grandfather, and you can read it all in the program, or at least most of it. There's a couple of pictures in that program, two of which have my brothers and I sitting with my grandfather. They're great photos. They're pretty small, but they're great photos. I was really blown away by what we learned about my grandfather and how important and highly regarded he was in the educational universe of Southern Indiana. But as his grandsons, John and I, and our brother Jim, who died in 2018, only knew him as Bob, the best grandfather three little boys could ever have. Bob died in 1971 when John and I were just finishing up our college years, and so our contact with him had decreased quite a bit. But he was a huge part of our lives growing up as boys in Indianapolis. He was a larger-than-life character. We adored Bob, and lucky for us, we spent a lot of time with him during the 50s and most of the 60s. He and Jean Kelso, his second wife, came up to Indianapolis frequently for visits, a lot of times during the summer when school was out, but every year at Christmas and Thanksgiving. We remember playing games and cards and coloring and being outside and talking about sports, but as you might imagine, it was not all fun and games. Ever the educator, he spent a lot of time teaching us how to read. And he made us practice. But we not only remember the times in Indianapolis, we were frequent visitors to his home on the old Vincennes Road in Floyd's Knob, Indiana. It was always a big adventure for three boys growing up in suburban Indianapolis. Bob had a 20-acre piece of property on the old Vincennes Road with a pond, a big barn, and a dog run, and a beautiful two-story stone farmhouse that we thought was still standing. We were here 4 years ago and we checked the house out and it was there. The day before we came here, we drove by and it's been level. So that happened sometime in the last 4 years. I imagine a real estate developer is probably doing a residential neighborhood or something there now, but it was kind of heartbreaking for us to see the old homestead gone. But there were always dogs. He had hunting dogs at first, and then he had two little dachshunds that he called Tiny Mite and Little Bit. But there were no farm animals and no crops, but it was still the farm. We would take turns riding on his tractor, sitting on his lap when he mowed his fields. We'd catch tadpoles and frogs in the pond. He would take us to the creek in his World War II Willis Jeep, and he'd drive right into the water and up and down the creek, and the water would splash everybody everywhere, and we were just so delighted by that. And we would hop out and play in the creek and catch crawdads. He taught us how to shoot his .22 rifle. He taught us to make sassafras tea. He taught us to stamp white horses for good luck. Does everybody know how to do that? You pass a white horse, that gives you good luck. You should try it, it works. His phone was a party line, and you had to listen for your specific ring before you could pick up the phone. He had running water and electricity, but he didn't have a water heater, so we remember taking baths in the basement while he would boil water in the kitchen stove and bring it down the stairs and pour it in the tub so that the water was warm enough for us. On a visit to one of his friends, which he took us to visit his friends quite a bit. In one visit, we went to this place where a guy had a corral with ponies. John and I were in the corral looking at the ponies, and Bob was talking to his friend. And then something spooked the ponies. And they stampeded and came running right at John and I. So Bob saw what was happening. He came over and he literally stood between us and this little charging herd like Superman. I'm not kidding. It was just like that. And it was like Moses parting the waters. The herd split off in a V and went around us. We were like totally blown away by that. And another story that sort of cemented his legendary status in our minds was the one about the time when he slipped in his barn, fell through a hole to the floor below, and split his head open. He was by himself, but he got up, put on his ever-present beanie to keep his flap from falling off, and drove himself to the hospital. That's the kind of guy he was. He was very self-sufficient. It's funny the stuff you remember. When we were getting a little too wild or doing something that was starting to try his patience, he'd look at us and he'd go, "Which one's it gonna be, boys? 6 months or sudden death?" He was kidding. So he was very innovative also. He didn't care much for banks, so he bolted a strong box to the floor of his VW Bug, where he kept his cash and some important papers. In the same car, he removed the passenger seat so his dogs could sit next to him when he drove the car. I could go on with other stories, but I don't want to take up too much time. I'd like to thank New Albany High School Hall of Fame and Susan for orchestrating this, and including my grandfather. I regret that he is not here to accept this recognition, and I regret that my father, who was his only child, is not here to bask in his dad's glory. He loved his father, but just as importantly, he knew how much his boys loved his father, and he made sure that we saw a lot of him. And finally, I really want to thank Susan and Carol for instigating this. I don't know if I could ever describe my feelings about it, other than to say it's been a real gift for me that I never expected at this stage of my life. Bob literally came alive for me again. And learning about his professional life was a revelation. And learning that there are people out in the world who shared time in their lives with my grandfather and have such great and important memories of him has been really, truly special. Thank you all very much.
For his great leadership of NAHS during tremendous growth by influencing generations of New Albany families with deep care and concern, we induct C.C. Catterjohn into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, our final inductee this afternoon from the class of 1968, and also a longtime member of the faculty, administration, and coach here at New Albany High School, Dutch Viger. Beginning in the fall of 1965, Dutch pretty much spent his life at NAHS, leaving only to get those needed degrees so he could come back to teach several sciences and coach, and then some more coaching. Swimming and soccer, girls and boys, kept him very busy and a very much strong influencer. As he says, quote, "Teaching and coaching are the same," end quote. And Dutch is a true embodiment of both. Ladies and gentlemen, Dutch Viger.
Thank you, Kent, for the nice introduction. I want to first thank the guests and friends for supporting the inductees to this Hall of Fame ceremony this evening. I also want to give thanks to my family who's here, my wife Barb, my sister Connie, Debbie and Tammy, nieces Laura and Erica, my son Ben, his wife Jenna, my two lovely granddaughters Molly and Claire. Thank you for being here. I also want to give thanks to the Hall of Fame Committee for the time and effort that you've spent in organizing this event and hosting this event. Today, as I stand before you, I'm filled with a sense of gratitude, humility, and reflection. I am truly honored to receive this award and want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has been a part of this journey. Receiving this award is an honor shared by many outstanding and remarkable individuals. This is also a moment to look back at the journey that brought me here. It has been a path marked by perseverance, learning, and a pursuit of excellence. There have been moments of failure, doubt, and success, but each has been a stepping stone to a greater understanding of my role in this community and society. My journey to become a lifelong educator began in grade school with the influence of my 5th and 6th grade basketball coach, Mr. Norman Perkins. Mr. Perkins was unconditional in the way he treated players and found ways to instill confidence in each player. While attending Hazelwood Junior High, I was fortunate to have a group of educators who had trust in me, gave me confidence, and set high standards. I would like to thank my principal and professional colleague, Mr. Seville, my football, basketball, and baseball coach, Mr. Shields, and my science teacher and professional colleague, Mr. Keith Hoffmeister, and Mr. Shadburn, my PE teacher and high school swimming coach. Upon entering high school, I continued to be surrounded by caring individuals who gave me encouragement, support, and guidance. Thank you to Mr. Forrest McCaffrey, Gary Austin, and Bob Douche. Having these positive experiences, I knew I wanted to give back to the community and help others in their growth, their development, and becoming the best person they could be. In addition to my former teachers and coaches, I want to express thanks to my professional colleagues, Jim Dickman, Bob Douche, Steve Sipes, Don Unruh, Steve Boniford, Janet Page, Vince Gansberg, Steve Franklin. Their wisdom, encouragement, and guidance were my compass in times of uncertainty. They also show me tremendous trust and confidence in my pursuit of teaching, coaching, and serving as a school administrator. I want to thank the many students and student athletes I had the opportunity to work with over the years. They provided me with inspiration and challenges, which helped me grow as a person, an educator, and a coach. Last but not least, thank you to my family, to my parents, my sisters, my son and his wife Jenna, again, my two lovely granddaughters, and my wife Barb. Thanks for your love, inspiration, encouragement, confidence, and support. In closing, I want to say how much I value and appreciate being a part of this great community and a member of the New Albany High School Hall of Fame. Thank you.
For your long hours, days, and many years as a devoted teacher, administrator, and spirited coach, and for your outstanding service to the young people of NAHS, we induct you into the NAHS Hall of Fame 2025. Not bad. All right, one more thing. Everybody stand up for a second. I want to get a picture. Show I was here. You know, we have to do social media so much for work. Everybody stand up. Let's take a picture. That's going to conclude our program for today. However, there are a few more announcements from Mr. Douche. I want to thank you again for having me. We'll see you next year for another amazing class. Congratulations to all of today's inductees. What an unbelievable class. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Bob Deuce,
Mr. Taylor can appreciate this being at 3:11, considering that one time that 2 speakers took longer than that. I want to thank Kent. He does an excellent job. And okay, thank you all. A lot of people made this possible, and I want to thank you. On the back of your program, you will find the Hall of Fame committee. Would the members that are here today please stand up? Now, I made a mistake a while ago, this first one in 30 years. Laura, I'm sorry, I failed to mention you. You are also a member of the Hall of Fame. Laura McGurk. Okay, now, there's a lot on the back table are forms, registration forms for people to nominate people to the Hall of Fame. This committee just goes through the nominees and makes the selections. We don't do the nominations. So if you're interested, there's forms on the back of the table. And I think, Danny, you have it on the website too, right? Danny Williamson?
Yes.
Yes, it's on the website. Okay. Now, the deadline will be January 31st, 2026 for that. The newest members of the Hall of Fame, when this is concluded, I'd like for you to come forward for a group picture. And now in the closing, there will be a reception in the Commons area to the left, your right. And is there something else, Susan? I think that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Let's have a nice evening.